Hey students, welcome to episode 56 of the Film Student Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Lazzeroni. My guest this week is Alex Moss from the Yellow Cohort. We talk about his transition from sports to film, what it's like to look back on your past work, and we have the realization that we're both working on projects on the same subject. Small world. On with the show.
Kind of a roundabout way to end up back home. I'm from the suburbs. I'm from Naperville, for those who are from here, and went to college with the intention of playing baseball, and that didn't work out because I didn't want to run so much, so I thought art would be a better way to do it.
I guess I don't always equate running as much with baseball.
You'd think. and actually, to be honest, there isn't a lot of running in baseball, but it was still too much for me. So, like, if it wasn't, if I obviously I wasn't a basketball or football player, those ended a long time ago, but baseball seemed like it would be good, but alas, that was still too much. So anyway, went to college to play baseball. Ended up kind of helping out with the newspaper, and then kind of got into the TV studio. And next thing I knew, I retired from baseball at the ripe age of 18. Yeah. After one semester of it. Oh, I didn't even get a season. I got fall ball, and then once winter conditioning started, that was the last straw. But yeah, and I just. A lot of it, I kid about not wanting to run, but a lot of it was I started doing this TV stuff and started kind of getting into the media, and it felt much more my style of being. But I even more so, I compare sort of this world to athletics all the time, and there's so many parallels, but the difference is. Athletics and sports are so competitive against, the other team, against your teammates. You're kind of always fighting for playing time and all that stuff. And not that this industry isn't competitive.
No.
That'll come a little later. But it just felt much more collaborative, and it felt much more challenging and exciting. And so I went into it, and I sort of haven't really looked back. Majored in English creative writing or double majored in that and film studies. We didn't have a filmmaking program, so I was kind of just doing stuff on my own. But
all the stuff that's ancillary to it that you can somehow tie back to it.
Yeah, they didn't have, they had some equipment. It wasn't great. A lot of the logistics were kind of not figured out, and I think it's gotten better, of course, since I've left. But at the time, and that was also, I think, very exciting to just kind of be learning all the watching YouTube videos on how to use Premiere, how to, what an f-stop, what the hell that is, stuff like that. So,
so had you made much stuff coming into the program, or was it just kind of learning about it, and this was your chance to execute?
I made a lot of stuff that was, it started with just friends making things in our, dorm room and eventually in our house. And the TV show, we had to shoot a lot of stuff. We did a lot of field pieces. It was kind of a hybrid between Saturday Night Live and a traditional late night show.
So it was sketch.
Yeah, it was a sketch show with a host element and interviews and things of that nature. So
interesting.
It was long. We did it in front of a live audience, so it was a pretty big production. But I wasn't really like a driving force in that stuff. I was still kind of I was a cast member, and I was writing and whatnot.
Oh, okay, so you were performing for it too.
Yeah, and so to kind of get back to the original question. I was performing more, and I was becoming far more interested in the filmmaking part of it, or the making of it, than I was performing. And so I kind of got out of that. And then I started making a bunch of shorts that were 2-3 minutes long with friends. And again, we didn't have like a filmmaking program. So my junior year, I guess it was, I just started doing independent studies where I where I taught myself how to do it, and I made one that was awful. 16 minutes of garbage. I think I can use about 4 minutes of it today.
But everybody has that. I mean, that's the point of going through it, is just
well,
to
at the
get
time,
the reps.
I didn't know that. At the time, I thought everybody nailed it right away, and I was a little shaken. But then my senior year, I had my thesis, and there was a little bit more hands-on, going through the steps, making sure you had a shot list and things that I didn't have. So.
Honestly, from the first 5-6 years that I made shorts, which is well before this program, it was learned by failure. I got more out of making something poorly than I did out of making something good. Every time I made something good, I was like, cool, when's the next thing?
Right. That's so true. And for me, because I had been going to school for writing at that point. So story and things like script and whatnot, I was doing stuff like I thought I had a great shot, and then I look and my foot is just right there in the bottom left-hand corner, or oh God, I actually forgot to hit record. Stuff like that. And
we've had some of those.
Yeah, where you think it's going great, and you're just so luckily senior year I got a little bit more official, I guess, professional to an extent, and I ended up making something that, boy, you want to talk about oh God,
what was it?
It was
you can't hum without going into what the actual film was.
So it ended up being pretty good. It ended up doing pretty well. I'll get to that. Got into a few festivals.
Cool.
I got into 6 festivals, and one that was a big one that I was unprepared to go to. It was the Orlando International Film Festival. And what happened?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was really cool, and saw some people, shook some hands, and did absolutely nothing with it. So that's that. But yeah, it was a movie about a woman, a girl who wakes up after a party and she can't find her wallet, phone, and keys. The classic stuff, and the house kind of betrays her, and so things. It had a surreal element, but the funny part about it was it didn't originally have a surreal element. 4 hours before I had to turn it in, half the movie became corrupted on Premiere.
Oh no!
And the files too. I mean, it was over. There was half the movie gone. It was 10 minutes or something.
And it's a student film, so you didn't have the budget to go out and have backups of everything.
No. So I had to call my actress who was in the middle of her finals and getting ready, and I said, I need one afternoon to finish this, and luckily she did it. She's in Chicago now. Her name's Lily Reed, but yeah, it came together, and it shocked me that it did okay, but yeah,
I'd say it did better than okay.
It did pretty well, and whenever you watch anything or critique yourself at all you do is find the the foot in the shot type of thing, but yeah, I'm proud. In hindsight, I'm more proud of it than I think I was
right afterwards.
Right after I was like, Jesus, this isn't going well.
And have you revisited it since then? Because I find that's kind of interesting, going back and watching your old stuff, multiple years after the fact.
I've shown some people, few close friends and friends and family only. But yeah, I've only recently, I would say, probably since I started the program, to be honest, kind of looking at it with what I know now. And I kind of watch it and step back a little bit more and think, oh, that's what I didn't do. If I had done that, if I had just,
reframed this, focused it this way, adjusted the character lines that way.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. So it was fun and definitely a learning experience. And yeah, looking back, I think it kind of goes both ways. I know exactly what I did wrong there, and I know how to fix it. And at the same time, I'm like, wow, this isn't this isn't quite as bad as I originally thought. All right.
De-romanticized it in your memory.
Yeah, that's right.
to the point where now you're like, oh, wait, actually, it wasn't
all
that
right,
bad.
All right.
Is that what you used for your submission piece when you applied for the school?
Yeah, I used a little bit of it. I used 3 minutes of it.
Right, because they wanted to be under a certain time length, yeah.
So I hope I picked a good 3 minute. I must have picked a decent 3 minutes. Here I am.
Hope you picked it. You're here.
Yeah, I guess it worked. So there you go.
So what's the long-term goal? Are you trying to be behind the camera, in front of the camera? Sounds like you've done a little bit of both.
Great effing question, Tony. I'm not sure yet. I mean, I think it's taken me, I guess, a while to sort of say, but I think because of indecision, I wanted to be able to do anything. So it was like, well, I don't know if I want to be an actor, a writer, or a director, so I might as well try and be as good as I can at all three until I have to pick. And I think, I think for me, it's just going to kind of depend on the project, a lot of stuff. I kind of like being more versatile and being able to fit a bunch of different positions and roles and whatnot. I think my heart, if I could just magically make myself anything, it would be writer, director, kind of cameo actor sometimes, but kind of stay back and let the pros do it.
Yeah.
Because when you see a good actor do something that you wrote and you thought, I thought, I think I'm the only one who could play this, and then you watch them do it, and you're like, oh my god,
they bring a new approach to it. They find something else.
I think maybe they were the only ones who could play this. So, so that's been happening more recently. But
have you done anything where you've either written something and handed it off to someone else, or vice versa, taken somebody else's writing and produced it for yourself?
More of the latter. I had another friend. So, in between my touring of my thesis of my senior film, I moved to LA for 6 months. And I thought I'd be pretty famous by then. And when that didn't work out either, I came back home to Naperville and worked at a hardware store. So I thought, well, that's it. I guess I'm teaching. But yeah, no, I think, and there's nothing wrong with teaching. My sister's a teacher. My whole damn family's a teacher. So, but yeah, no, I kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I went to LA, thought I'd be famous, came home and started working at a hardware store. But and now I'm here. But when I was in LA, I lived with two people who were also trying to do what we're all kind of trying to do.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of scripts kind of just flowing around the living room, and we're playing God knows what, either video game or YouTube, whatever, but we're always kind of writing and shooting something really quick in my buddy's his loft room, or we had a weird bathroom where we had one mirror here and a mirror on the door. It didn't make any sense, but we loved it because you could shoot a cool angle, like where the camera can see the shower, but the guy at the bathroom couldn't, and so it was kind of cool. And so we kind of got experimental and things of that nature. And then one of my roommates, he started getting more traction as a PA and started kind of getting more experience on how to operate a set, and so we ended up shooting a little short film in our apartment, and I was able to DP that and act in it at one point, which was kind of funny to be a DP and an actor.
Yeah,
it's hard unless you're shooting it a selfie way.
My submission film for the school was a short called The Heist, and it's really just a sketch. It's a video sketch, but we shot it one time where I was playing one of the characters in it, and I was also DPing it. So I was mounting the camera on a tripod and had somebody else manning it, and was kind of like, "How does the framing look?" And they're like, "It looks fine." And it's like, and then went back and edited that one together, and it turned out terrible, absolutely horrendously bad. Compared to, we'd always read it in our writers' room group that we'd had going on. Like, it always hit really funny. It was great. And then when we went into the space, just did not hit. And our lead actor was sick at the time, and like, it was not good.
Yeah.
And so I finally was like, somebody I think said I mean, we could just reshoot it, and I was like, no, we could.
Maybe we could, now that you say it.
And so we wound up reshooting it. I uncast myself. We cycled around some of the actors and brought in the guy who wrote it as the main actor for it, and just because he'd always read it in the table read too, and it was always hysterical in the table read.
Right.
So then we just reshot it that way, and because I was fully operating the camera, like I was able to go in closer and do kind of handheld and shaky cam the whole time, which adds to this feel of it being
it's a heist
type film.
It's got to be kind of hectic and whatnot.
And so, but it was so difficult to be in it and behind the camera without having someone else that knew it well enough or knew the job well enough to be able to man it.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've sort of run into. That one that was 16 minutes and just awful. That was a problem, and a lot of it, I think. I was directing it and shooting it, and I'd written it, and I didn't want to, kill my darlings, so to speak, and cut scenes and whatnot. But I think what kind of happened there was a lot of like what exactly you're saying. I didn't know how important each role was and how each role had a specific job that had to be done very well in order for the whole thing to be good.
Right.
I thought I could kind of half-ass part, like, I'm not, I know what I'm doing. I can do it. It's fine. Audio, we'll get it. The camera's got audio, right? And that sort of stuff. So I with experience comes
knowledge.
Great wisdom and knowledge. Yeah, God. Slap that 18-year-old Alex Moss in the head.
But nobody comes out and makes the perfect thing the first time through.
No.
Like people that do manage to do well on their first film are doing it with a ton of help,
right,
from people who know what they're doing. Because like I look at like have you ever seen this is the end. What am I thinking of? In a World, that movie?
No, I
Lake
have
Bell.
Not. I gotta.
It was her directorial debut. She wrote, directed, and starred in it.
Yep.
And it's excellent. It's really, really good. But she's got a lot of great people around her. Tig Notaro, Nick Offerman, who's her dad's played by another character actor that's in a ton of stuff. And Dimitri Martin plays the love interest in it.
Yep.
And but it just turned out it's a great film, and it's funny and it's quirky and it's weird and it's interesting, and but it's just what she had learned on sets, being on everybody else's set,
right,
and then working with a ton of people who knew what they were doing to fill out all those technical roles.
It reminds me of Lady Bird with Greta Gerwig.
Yeah,
I mean, that was her first. It was her directorial debut, but I mean, she had been in Frances Ha and things like that, where she's working with a lot of you hate to use the term auteurs.
Yeah,
and I can't think of who directed Frances Ha right now. Oh God, he did the Dustin Hoffman, Adam Sandler movie, Myra's Stories.
The Myra Story, that is.
Well, yeah, that guy. You know who that guy is. Well, anywho, she was in those types of movies, and I think it really kind of it shined through. And so, yeah, I mean, experience in any way you can get is extremely helpful. I would also add, and this
Noah
is
Baumbach.
Huh?
Noah
Baumbach. Yeah, absolutely. Did he do the Something Whale? I've seen these Something in the Whale.
I'm pulling it up.
Yeah,
this is the wonderful part where I look up stuff on IMDb. The Sound of the Whale.
Yeah, Sound of the Whale.
That was he wrote that one.
There you go.
At least. Let's see what else.
I thought he directed it. Maybe.
He may have 14 credits. No, it doesn't look like he directed that one.
Oh,
just wrote it. But
yeah, well, and to kind of bring it back a little bit full circle, this is sort of a baseball thing, but a lot of reps done badly and without acknowledgement of them done poorly, like without knowing that wasn't right.
You never learn.
You never learn, and then you practice just a horrible swing and you never go anywhere. So I think it's also important to be, you know, I think sometimes I fall too far on the critical element, but, you know, I think it's always important you just got to keep learning by any means necessary, and to bring good people around you, like you're saying, so you can learn from the best.
Yeah,
that's
and be humble is a big part of it. Just recognize you don't know everything.
Yeah,
make sure other people understand that you're not in a position where you're saying you know everything.
Right.
Like you're only going to learn more by recognizing when someone else is so much better at whatever part of the process. That was the thing I would say with yours, with trying to do all three of those things, acting, directing, writing, is see if you can, as much as possible, isolate yourself in one of those in stuff that you're doing here.
Yeah.
And see how you can, like, see what you learn about the role. Because when you're controlling all three parts, kind of like what you're saying about actors, that they read the text that you wrote and they're able to pull from that something that they didn't see. You're going to see something in someone else's work that they didn't see. And you can be that actor, or you can be that director that is taking their writing and, you know, bringing something to fruition that they didn't even necessarily know was on the paper.
Yeah, that I've had the privilege. I'm going to kind of gloat about my cohort a little bit, but
sorry, it seems to be a thing for Yellow. They're very proud of their cohort.
It just seems like there are so many people who are very, very good at what they do, and it seems to me that most, if not all of us, understand their role, their strengths and weaknesses, and there's that self-awareness that I think you got to have, but also that confidence that you put your ideas out there, and the kind of the flow kind of comes from that. I don't even know that necessarily confidence is the word. It may be more like audacity, maybe,
right? Because it takes a little bit of throwing something out there, knowing full well that it may be the worst thing that you're putting out, but you just have to. You do it to learn from it. Like it's a developmental courage, to pull a businessy term from it.
Right.
You know, right. You do it to learn from it. And I'd say your cohort has a good batch of people for just that are willing to go try something, left of center, just for the sake of learning what it's like to do that thing.
This is the first time I've ever been around so many improvisers, and I would call them improvers for so long, and they were like, "We are not improvers. We are improvisers." And it's like, my mistake. But that, I think, is such a trait that because I've never done any improv in my entire life, and
until you got to the program, because you are
and now in the program I'm doing it, and it's been more rewarding and fun than I thought it would be. But I went through the acting lab here at Second City, so I went through levels 1 through 4, and then did the conservatory last term. So I was doing both at the same time, which great idea on paper. It was difficult, but so I kind of come from that world where you're trying stuff, but eventually you got to have at least a plan. But I mean, you've got to know, like, you've got to kind of have a good sense of what you're trying to do. Improvisers don't need that. They just walk on stage. That blows my mind. But that's what you're talking about, with that audacity to just go up there and throw stuff out to see if it works. Like, to do that live on stage for an hour, that blows my mind.
It's throwing stuff out and recognizing that there's a group there that's their goal is to catch it and toss it back and just keep the ball in the air.
If that's not like filmmaking, I don't know what is. I mean, that's really it. The director throws it to the DP. You know, I've got this idea. What do you think? Well, I don't know if it's going to work like that, but we could do da-da-da.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, I kind of forget the original question. I think I went on a big, long tangent.
Tangents are totally fine.
Oh, boy. Good. Thank God I do it all the time. But yeah, that is a lot of fun. And okay, I remember now. So going back to like isolating myself, what I find is that's sort of like, that's just naturally kind of happening where, okay, I'm aware that I'm not as good at just directing and working with actors and being up on my feet and doing those things as some. I know I'm not as good of an actor as
Some of the people you bring in, yeah.
You know, so is it writing? Is it DPing? Is it eventually, you know, I have no idea, Tony. No idea. But I know that, you know, I just, part of me also thinks to myself, boy, a good idea and a fun project. There's that sense of I'll do anything to be on it type of thing. And, you know, eventually I know I'll have to obviously be more selective, but, right now, it's fun.
I mean,
to
that's the plus side of this is that you do get the chance to try everything and just see, you know, see what sticks. What stuff are you working on right now?
Personally, or like in the cohort?
Either or.
Either or. Well, I guess it's kind of one the same, isn't it? Yeah. So we're currently on our Director 2 projects right now. So we just filmed our first thing.
That was
mine was 2 weeks ago.
Like a scene that was already written.
Yeah.
What'd you end up shooting?
I shot a monologue from a play, The Last Analysis.
Okay.
And it was a very, very creatively rewarding experience in a way. In a way. 99% of a way, but we had some struggles in the beginning with just all sorts of things, you know, equipment. We decided to shoot in the screening room, and so we had to kind of make that room work.
Yeah.
And again, thank God, I had an improviser as my lead actor because it's just a long speech that the guy's giving to, to a group of psychiatric experts who he thinks is there. And he believes he's kind of cured the plague of insanity in humanity. Which, if anybody ever comes up to you and said, "I've cured insanity," you know that they obviously have not. So,
in fact, they are suffering from it very deeply at that moment.
That's right. In fact, you're proving to me right now that the cure, you don't have it. And the cohort, my cohort. Colleague Tom Hannigan ended up doing some he improvised a lot of different things, and I'm editing it right now, and it's turning out much better than I expected.
Anticipated,
yeah. So that's been fun.
Have you started formulating what you're going to do for your final film yet?
In term 3? Yeah, I've got a script right now.
Okay.
It's I think 9 or 10 pages. I've kind of been tinkering with it. It's somewhere around 9 and 11 pages right now.
What's the pitch for it?
Oh no, you're gonna make me pitch. Oh God. Okay, let me button my tie.
It doesn't stop.
It doesn't
stop after term
here.
1.
Yeah, no, I know. It's about a campaign, a political campaign for Chicago alderman. That has taken a huge left turn simply because the candidate's an idiot and goes on live TV and announces some things. You'll have to tune in to find out what things. And so the film takes place directly after that, when they're kind of in the war room together as a campaign unit. And kind of inspired by Veep, sort of inspired by the West Wing in a way, those types of things. Yeah. But my personal favorite show ever maybe is Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So it's kind of got that aspect of argumentative,
horrible people
style.
Doing horrible things.
Horrible people doing horrible things. And
oddly enough, I'm working on an alderman election web series.
No kidding.
Yeah, called Chicago 47th that we're in the process of writing.
47th.
Yeah.
Is that Tom Tunney?
Maybe. I don't know.
I live across the street from Tom Tunney's office. That's why. I mean, now you know why I came up with this idea in the first place. Looked out the window,
the 47th
saw Tom
is
Tunney.
Nuts. There's like 10 or 11 people I think running for it.
Well, how many people are running for mayor? It's like the Chicago Bulls, G League team is running for. There's like 20 people running for mayor. God, what a world. So it's gonna kind of be dealing with a lot of those things. So you probably have some knowledge of what I'm talking about. But different narratives, different agendas all coming to a head. It's going to a bit of an ensemble type of thing.
Nice.
About 7 or 8 actors in it, kind of all coming in and going, I don't know if I can swear, but what the hell?
You can swear.
All right, what the fuck did you just do? And the guy just not getting it. Loosely inspired by true events, if you have a Twitter account. Hopefully makes people laugh, and hopefully the ending. Well, I don't want them to cry, but hopefully makes them
they feel
stay
something.
seated for a while. Yeah. I think,
you want to be able to affect your audience. I
Yeah.
think of filmmaking as kind of like trying to play on people's emotions, like an orchestra, to be able to kind of run them through whatever gamut that you want to as a collective group.
I forget who it was. It might have been Ingmar Bergman, who wanted to be a priest and said, "I found filmmaking far more effective." What a line!
I can believe that.
Right? But it's so true. I mean, you look back at history, and the Bolsheviks in Russia used it. Eisenstein's battleship Potemkin started. Got people aware of this revolution. Then you got a not so good moment with the Nazis used it. It's a very powerful medium, and I think right now we're going through a weird moment where you no longer have to go to a movie theater to be influenced by it. You just have to wake up and
look
at
anywhere.
your phone.
Yeah,
and it's right there. And I think
content is everywhere.
Oh,
Content's
God,
a constant thing. The fact that it is content now as opposed to a
Art.
film. Yeah,
like I mean, I had a professor at undergrad who said, we call it the entertainment industry. It's art.
Yeah,
like it's a different thing, but
the fact that industry is in there means
the fact that it's
there's
entertainment industry. It's like it's not. That wasn't.
It's
I
self-defeating.
don't know if that was the plan. It would be entertainment industry, but here we are, industrying our entertainment. So I hopefully people watch my movie and have this giant epiphany, and they change their entire lives based on my 8-minute film.
We shall see. It only remains to be seen.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, in kind of wrapping up, if people if people want to track you down, see what you're working on, see the film when it's eventually released, hopefully in some festivals.
Yeah. Who knows?
Where can they find you?
I got a Facebook page, Alex Moss. I got an Instagram. What is my Instagram thing?
I need to
know.
start preparing people because I love how often people come in here and they're like, "What is my Instagram?" Like,
I have no idea what my Instagram is.
And it's always something like ridiculous. It's
I think it's Alex Moss 2381, but that could be wrong.
I'll double check
find out.
Just to make absolutely certain.
We'll get the interns in the back here to find that data out for people, for the listeners. I've got a website. It's really, really creative and extremely unique. It's called alexmoss.me. That's it. And I, generally speaking, put all my stuff up there. I think I got to update it a little bit, but
it's alex.moss13.
Oh, it's alex.moss13.
That's what you
That's
got.
my Instagram.
That's your Instagram.
Okay.
I'm glad I could inform you of your Instagram.
Thank you so much, Tony. The Bearded Comedy. I think yours is the Bearded Comedy.
Which I changed. I changed it to that because you can
when
change your.
When did you change it?
Because it used to be. It was just Big Tony VT.
Oh,
okay, I went to Virginia
gotcha.
Tech,
so you just changed it to the Bearded Comedy.
Yeah, because I'm trying to brand that. So I bought beardedcomedy.com, and so eventually I'll set that up when I have the time and brain power and learn how to use websites and all that wonderful stuff.
Sure.
It'll happen one day.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Well, Alex, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's I'm an artist. I'll talk about myself for a week straight. No,
You'd be surprised
stops.
how many people can't do that.
Oh boy. Well,
but
I'm
you
glad
could.
I
It
break
was
the
great.
mold. So anyway, thank you so much. I had a great time.
Thanks, man. And that was Alex Moss. Thanks to Alex and to the Harold Ramis Film School and the Second City staff for their help. The song on this week's episode was As It Was by Cathy D off her new EP Nostalgiaddict. Find it now on iTunes and Spotify.
This show is recorded and edited by me, Tony Lazzeroni. If you want to hear more from me, my classmates, teachers, and a few special guests, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you have questions or comments, send us an email at filmstudentpod@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Instagram at filmstudentpod. And be sure to check out some of my and my classmates' work at filmstudentpod.com, where you can also find links to all of our past episodes. See you all next week. Class dismissed.